Hello, everybody, and welcome to this LinkedIn Live. My name is Sandra Wood, and I'm a German language teacher and coach in Zurich. And I work with international professionals in Switzerland who would like to integrate better. I help them improve their German so they can speak confidently in a work and social environment. And I'm here today with my colleague Megan Nichols, who's joining us from the UK. Megan, do you also teach German?
I teach English mainly to Germans, which is why this seems like a good fit and a good collaboration. So I focus mainly on business English and helping people feel confident to communicate around the world. So today we're going to explore what fluency really is, why the idea of being fluent can hold you back, and what matters actually more for professional success.
Yes, this is always quite a big topic in language learning, this idea about fluency. So, Megan, when you hear the word fluency, what comes to mind?
Yeah, I've definitely been guilty of this myself, learning languages, and now I've tried to flip the script as a language teacher. So I think people think that it's about being very fast and speaking very fast. This speed is important to the fluency. It's the idea of making no mistakes and having lots of confidence, as we talked about in our live last time. So what do you think how most learners see fluency, Sandra?
Yes, so they often tell me that they want to be able to speak quickly, as in not think about what they want to say, as if that was almost what native speakers did all the time. But,
Yeah.
like you and me, we're here today, and we're certainly not just speaking very quickly, but we need to think about things. And they also think that it means, yeah, there's no hesitation and perfect grammar. So everything is correct all the time. And people sometimes almost chase that ideal fluency. Why do you think that could be a problem?
Yeah, I have lots of clients with this belief, and I think that it's the idea of trying to do it all at once, and going from like zero to hero in a couple of weeks. So, for example, I had a client recently that wanted to be able to talk in the financial meetings, the board meetings, be able to do the appraisals, and the recognition with all of the staff. And I actually had a conversation with them, and I said, "Do you need to be able to do all of this in your job?" And they said, "Well, no, but I just think I want to be fluent." And this idea is interesting to me because if it's not necessary for the language, why is this a goal? What do you think are
Mhm.
the main problems with this perfect fluency mindset, Sandra?
Yes, so what you've just said sounds really familiar, but I think it creates a lot of pressure and unrealistic expectations because learning a language takes time. And if you're a beginner or even an intermediate student and your goal is to be fluent, it seems so far away and it's just not the right goal to have. Um, and it also ignores context. So, when you want to be able to speak to your neighbors or to your colleagues over lunch, that is not the same as giving a presentation at a board meeting, where, of course, you would be expected to have much different vocab and use formal language. So you need the language for your personal situation, so that real world German or English. And also wanting to be perfect holds people back because they're then afraid of making mistakes. And sometimes my clients tell me that they're rather quiet so that they don't say anything because they're afraid of looking stupid when they make a mistake. And that's kind of the worst thing that can happen, because then you can't participate in a conversation and you just can't connect with people, which is such a shame.
Yeah, definitely been there, done that. But you can't let the fear hold you back.
Is there
Um,
anything that you think of when you think about that fluency mindset?
Yeah, I think this common misconception with English is that they want to have the perfect accent. And I know for German, for example, there's lots of different types of German for different countries, and it's even more so for English. In the UK, for example, we have so many different British accents, and not one of them is right or one of them is more fluent than the other. And then you throw into that the fact that we have the American English, Canadian English, Australian, South African. So there's that confusion between like getting the perfect accent and the ability to speak the language. There isn't one that's just more fluent than another. And I think some people would be offended if you said that their accent wasn't fluent, you know. Also, I want to pick up on what you said. It's like depending when you need the language is important for the fluency. You talked about the boardroom and small talk, and it's the same for different industries as well. So I am fluent in English, but I probably couldn't have a conversation in legal English, or if I was talking about the pharmaceutical industry, because the vocabulary is very specific, the structures are very specific, and it doesn't mean I'm not fluent just because I can't have these conversations. So it depends which industry the clients are working in, whether they just want to be able to have a conversation and that's enough for fluency for them. Because sometimes I think we get in this trap of being so advanced that they get to the C1, C2 level, and then we realize that actually most people don't speak like that. I was the same learning German, like the Hochdeutsch at school, and then you go to the country and you realize that this is way too formal.
Oh, yes.
People people have the slang, you know, they talk with the colloquial language, and it's just not the same. So yeah, that would be my idea of why this mindset needs a little bit of a shift.
Yeah, so totally. The whole Hochdeutsch thing is such a good example, which is also true in Switzerland, where there's a variety of different dialects, and you need to focus also on, understanding and, what are people saying as opposed to just trying to speak perfectly. So if we try and redefine fluency in practical terms, I guess what we mean is that fluency is more about being able to express your ideas and being able to speak the language in the situations that matter to you. So real world German or English. So don't try and learn everything, but think about the situations where you want to be able to communicate successfully and prioritize that communication over perfection. So it is about connecting with people. You want to be able to have a chat. And nobody thinks about your grammar or, whether it's 100% correct what you just said, but they see you as a person. They obviously pick up on whether you're a nice person or not. All that type of stuff is a lot more important. And we have, as human beings, a strong desire to connect with others. We don't go into a conversation and think, oh, I hope the other person is going to be able to speak perfect English or perfect German. So that is so important. We must not be held back by this idea of being perfect. And also in real life, we constantly need to adapt to our audience and the context. So sometimes you actually need maybe more informal phrases rather than more, formal and correct grammar. So bear that in mind. What do you need when you go out there and speak the language? And this is about skills which are not purely language skills. Anything you'd like to add?
Yeah. Exactly. This is why we learn a language, isn't it, Sandra? To connect with people, not to be perfect. And languages are about communication. Native speakers make mistakes all the time, They have filler words, they make mistakes in spelling, in grammar. So this idea of perfection, it's not realistic. And if we can connect with people, that's definitely more important. For me, a really important thing to focus on when we talk about fluency in inverted commas is the culture. So I focus a lot in my lessons about speaking about the culture, the history, the politics, the food, of the region. And if you can understand this is a really important way to connect, as you said, because you understand the people and why they might have certain words and where the idioms have come from. You've got a bit more background context. So I think that's a really valuable skill that you can use when you're traveling. And yeah, like you said, communicating successfully instead of getting the grammar perfectly. If you're leading a meeting, for example, you can learn phrases that are specific, that you know are likely to come up from your native language. Or this will be different if you're negotiating, for example. So yeah, being able to communicate successfully and confidently rather than the perfection, I think. Do you have any strategies that you suggest to your clients that they can really be able to do this? Because it's definitely easier said than done.
Oh, yes, very much so. So we've all been there, and it's definitely not straightforward. It requires practice. But when we focus on the outcome, so the successful communication and the connection, I think it's about a focus on getting your message across. You want to be clear, and you want to make sure there are no misunderstandings. So it's certainly not about speed, but about the right types of phrases for a particular situation. And like you just mentioned, Meg, you know that from your native language, what types of things would you say when you're negotiating with somebody, when you're in a meeting. So yes, focus on the message, and prioritize building vocabulary over complex grammar, which maybe is more often used in writing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You can make vocabulary lists of things that you know will be relevant from your experience, because these are often experts in their industry. It's not the first time they've had these situations, but it might be the first time they have the situations in a foreign language. I definitely encourage embracing that, like a childlike curiosity, and being excited and interested to learn. When we're more passionate about something, we're more likely to remember it and kind of get rid of that perfectionist mindset. Because if we look at kids, they're excited to learn, and they don't worry about their grammar when they're learning their native language at 3 years old. They just want to communicate and speak with other kids. So if we can go back to that stage, that would be helpful, I think.
Yeah, children are sometimes really good role models because they don't worry about all these things, and they also celebrate small wins. Something very small can make them really happy. And I think that would be helpful for us in language learning, even going out and buying something in a shop and doing that in the foreign language and walking out of the shop thinking, yes, that's now worked. I didn't switch to, say, English in Switzerland, for example, or another language. So it's about these small things and build on those. If you've done it once, you can do it again, and that will then also build that confidence to go out there and to keep trying until it is a bit less scary, and you feel that it flows a bit more naturally, really.
Yeah, absolutely. If we can get the momentum and we feel like we can do it once, then we can definitely do it again. I love that suggestion, Sandra.
Yeah, so should we maybe summarize what we've said so far in terms of fluency? I guess we've spoken about how fluency is not about perfection, but it's above all about connecting with people. It's about having the confidence to have the conversation, and it's about the clarity of your message.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love it if people could maybe comment, or they could share their ideas of what fluency means to you now. We would love to hear from you. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, I think. And yeah, we are going to have another live session in November next month. So we'll be posting details, but we're going to be talking about Denglish, which is a combination between German and English, because we have lots of loan words between the two languages. So I think that's going to be interesting for both of our audiences.
Very much looking forward to that, definitely. And in the meantime, you can also watch the replay if you haven't been able to join us live. So follow us on LinkedIn and we'll keep you updated, and look forward to seeing you in November. Thanks for joining us today.
Perfect. Thank you.